Today we're running rats. Welcome back to more SOVL PVP. Today we're going to be putting this Ratkin Clans list through its paces. Now you may be wondering why we're taking a break from the SOVL Showdown tournament. That is simply to allow everyone to finish their group stage games. Don't worry, those matches will be back on the channel shortly. In the meantime though, I was taking a look through all of the submitted lists, particularly trying to make note of the lists that people who are very experienced or very high ELO, the lists they submitted. Notice a couple of things, lots of rats. And amongst those lists, one thing they all had in common, Longrifles. So, as someone who has very little experience playing with Ratkin, I thought I would put this list together, see what all the fuss was about, and just get some experience with it on the ladder. So, let's take a look, starting with the aforementioned Longrifles. Why are they seemingly so strong right now? So, they only have one attack each, but that is at range 48, which means it can pretty much see anywhere on the map. Power 5, and then that all-important lethal shots, which I think outside of this unit you only see on cannons, which deals double wounds against multi-wound targets. So this means that they're fairly useless against hordes, but against really high-value monsters or anything with lots of wounds, they absolutely shred through them. And if you think about most lists that you go up against, you'd be hard pushed to find a list without at least one really good target, sometimes more, between monsters, giants, chariots, dinosaurs, cavalry. These just absolutely shred anything. So what have I paired them with today? I have decided to go full cheese and add another ranged unit in the form of the Ratkin Slingers, which is the unit accompanying my commander, the Warlock, who I've given Hex of Ruin. I just love this spell so much. It's not at its best in a list like this, but I think the thing I really like about it is it allows you to win combats that you're not supposed to. So even a unit like these Slingers, if they get into combat with their skill 3, power 3, and you get enough attacks through, they can take down almost anything. Outside of that, Legionaries, really strong unit, just really solid. Taking a look at the stat line with the halberd, heavy armor, they just kind of do a bit of everything and they surprisingly dish it out. And I think what's nice about them in a list like this is, this is a gunline list, no two ways about it. So your opponent's just going to want to be getting in your face as quickly as possible to negate that range shooting. And they can sometimes just forget about how good Legionaries are. Maybe dismiss this as a chaffy screening battle line unit. But yeah, these are really strong again against those really tough tanky units. And then I have rounded out the list with Ratkin Monstrosity, which is just a really solid hammer with only 6 wounds. It's not the tankiest monster, but Frenzy, power 6 attacks, can really dish out the damage. And I think the nice thing about this is it feels like it operates a bit like a chariot, but unlike a chariot, you don't need to be on the charge with this. If you get flank charged, Frenzy doesn't care if you're the one charging. It just cares about it being the first round of combat. So yeah, often your opponent will feel like they got the jump on you by getting a flank charge in, and then it's just going to go badly for them. So yeah, that's the list. A bit cheesy, but let's see how well it does. Okay, first I just wanted to speed through this one to show you what a match looks like when the situation is favourable to Longrifles, because my opponent's list here features with just one really key unit with the Vampire Knight accompanied by Dread Knights. Not only that, but this map massively favours shooting given how little cover there is. So we're in turn 2. They do get to charge one of my long rifle units, but that all important really key unit for my opponent is already dead. And Legionaries are about to countercharge these bats and take them out, leaving my opponent with, just 2 pretty weak battle line units against my entire army. So yeah, I thought I'd showcase this one quickly just to give you a sense of what this can look like against the right sort of list. But moving on to a slightly more interesting match against a list where we're maybe not so favoured, because although they have a couple of good targets for the long rifles in the chariots, my opponent's Goatmen list is completely full of ambushing units. So they're already right up in my face. They're going to be getting into me pretty quickly, negating the efficacy of my shooting. So let's get into this here. I believe I take 4 wounds off the one chariot with the first round of shooting from the long rifles, and then I'm debating whether I should go for the second one to try and take that out, but then I could leave both of them on half sort of reason, Let's not get greedy. Might be a bit overkill, but take just the last wound off there. Not sure if that was correct or not. And then was pretty happy with my positioning with the Monstrosity here. Didn't allow my opponent's chariot to get any good charges in. But indeed they do, fancy that matchup. I personally believe I am favoured there, although they are going to hit hard this one turn when they charge. So let's see what happens there. Otherwise though, as I said, my opponent is already up in my face. And things are looking good because I think I'm favoured in one matchup between the Legionaries and any one of these units. But I think my opponent is favoured in any of the others. And as I say, all of the shooting is going to become useless pretty quickly once everything gets into melee range. I believe we do... we get the better of the chariot there. However, it sticks around and we really want to just kind of get rid of this as quickly as possible so we can turn and start helping out. So indeed, everything gets in and my opponent pops the war cry from their longhorn. But this is where, I believe I was saying in the intro, I really value Hex of Ruin because this is the exact sort of matchup where I'm definitely not favoured against these Goatmen warriors, but Hex of Ruin can really turn the tide. Still a stalemate over here with the chariot, and despite me getting the better of the Mongol pack, they are able to pass their break test, so a bit of a stalemate there. We weren't able to win with the Hex of Ruin, but we did not run either. So again, a bit of a stalemate. But as expected, my opponent's Mongol pack are able to take out that one unit of long rifles. And now this was an interesting decision about what to do with this unit. Because I really have 3 options. I could charge here, I could charge here, or I could not charge either and instead shoot. Let me know what you think you would have done. In the end, I decided to charge in here. I've got one more Hex of Ruin. And as I was saying, I think I'm favoured here. I think I'm favoured here. So, this has now become the really key focus. So with that Hex of Ruin, with the added, not so much attacks, but added combat score from the flank charge, I'm hoping we can take them out as we are finally able to mop up. And suddenly, the tide has turned. My commander's gone down, but what is this? All the attacks go through, we take that out, and my opponent has seen enough. So, good victory against a pretty scary start with seeing all those ambushing units. Here is going to be against Abyssal Legion, and yeah, cool list, running the sorcerer instead of a champion. You don't often see that, but it does mean they get the Hex of Ruin spell in. I like it a lot. And yeah, running Abyssal Knights as well, really cool, scary unit, and a lot of speed from my opponent. So once again, they're going to be getting up in my face pretty quickly, and you know, this is not the kind of map that you want to see when you're running a lot of range things. Although, personally, I think all maps should look something like this in terms of the amount of terrain that's in the way. I think my preferred deployment is to spread these long rifles out. Means give your opponent fewer places to hide. But let's get into this one. I feel like my opponent does a really good job early on, just kind of keeping the key units out of the firing line. Don't get much damage through it, looks like, anyway, from those opening salvos from the long rifles. I move my Ratkin Monstrosity here because I've already messed up this game. Early on, I didn't have really any good targets for the long rifles, so I activated this unit and then just decided I didn't want to move them. I want to kind of hang back and be as patient as possible, let them come to me, and just activated that to force my opponent to move to hopefully open up better targets. But then obviously my opponent makes this move, which means they then have a clear charge into this unit of long rifles, whereas I could have easily moved these over to screen them. I am able to do that over here though with the monstrosity to dissuade this unit of hounds. Yeah, so we've already got pressure on turn 2, now up in the face of my long rifles. I move the monstrosity here, which kind of forces this unit of hounds to come and intercept, really, because I do have the charge on the horses. So I kind of force my opponent's hand there a little bit, as expected. Hounds make light work of the long rifles there at the top. And I don't even like this charge very much, because although this matchup's definitely favoured, these legionaries are now kind of facing this way. They're like open to some rear charges. So yeah, I'm not liking the position I'm in very much. But my opponent does opt to charge into the flank of my monstrosity. But, you know, as I said in the intro, the monstrosity just doesn't really care. I pop Hex of Ruin. They pop Hex of Ruin in exchange. And then, yeah, you see here they're going to get rear charge because I really want these legionaries to get into the Abyssal Knights. I think that's my best chance at taking this unit out. Because they have the halberds, which and I learned something in coming up in this game. So spoiler, they do end up fighting with the Abyssal Knights. But I'll mention it now while I'm on the topic. I learned that halberds don't care about abyssal armor. So abyssal armor says +1 to damage saves, and that is different to +1 defense. So defense versus power is calculated first, and then you add an additional +1 to save on top of that. That is how abyssal armor and heavy armor and things like that work. But halberds say damage saves against this weapon are never better than 4+. So even with abyssal armor, you're still rolling a 4+. I think I intuitively thought that halberds would take it to 4+, and then the abyssal armor would make it a 3+. But no, that's not how it works. So yeah, even better, even more reason to get these halberds into the Abyssal Knights. Tangent over. Let's get back to my Monstrosity chewing through some dogs over there on the left. And now, this is huge. I don't know if I was favoured or not here. I kind of assumed not. I haven't, done the math or anything. But the Hex of Ruin, again, coming in clutch. Forcing this unit to run is really opened this game up, because that prevents the rear charge now into the Legionaries, because even though I don't want this, it's definitely the preferable scenario. Yeah, even one of these knights getting taken out by a long rifle is huge, given their damage potential. And here, bit of a stalemate. Get this matchup. Even though that guy rallied, he is now dead. And yeah, things are all of a sudden looking good, because although my commander's unit does flee from the axe, the Northmen with axes, I've now got both these options with the Monstrosity, and honestly I think either path leads to victory. I do opt, getting ahead of myself, let's watch the halberds make light work of the Abyssal Knights first. I do opt to charge in here simply because slim chance that my opponent wins this and things go wrong. If this unit can rally, then I could still win by points, because I'll still have my commander, if that makes sense. But things don't go wrong, and we're able to clean up. And yeah, that is another win for the Cheesy Rats list. I think we'll call it there for this video. It's not so much of a humble brag to say that I think I went 12-2 today with this list, and of those 2 defeats, one was because I got timed out. I do think I got quite lucky, ran into a lot of the very open maps, and I think this list could struggle against things like Goblin Hordes and certain Undead lists, which I didn't see, but I think it is really strong. The highlight is obviously the long rifles. Really changes the dynamic of the match, forces your opponents to deal with them, but they only take up 160 points, and then your opponent has the rest of the army to deal with, and the Legionaries and the Monstrosity can really dish out that damage. I think the only thing that this list doesn't really have is good defensive staying power, but who needs that when half their army is dead before they can get to you? Thanks for watching. I know a couple of other people who are quite active on the SOVL Discord have started posting their own PvP related content, so I'll link to those in the description. Please go over and give them a subscribe. If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel, like the video, comment, do all that good stuff for the YouTube algorithm. I've got a busy couple of weeks coming up, but hopefully the next video I put out will be the next match of the SOVL Showdown tournament. So until then, bye bye.